There we go. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. So tonight's meeting, the format for tonight's meeting, basically we'll start with a presentation. Then we'll follow by a Q&A session with any questions or comments that anyone would like to make in person or online. And then we have staff here who are also available to answer your questions. We'll give you some time to look at the boards also. Regardless, we just want to really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their evening to attend the North High Street Extended public meeting. This is a MCDOT project, and we're currently in only. So, okay. So just some quick hybrid virtual meeting housekeeping stuff. So if you can please stay on mute online and turn on the camera to allow adequate bandwidth. And if you want to ask a question at the end of the presentation, if you can raise your hand, that'd be great. And similarly, for those who are in person, if you can hold your question until the end of the presentation, we'll be sure to get to you. The other thing I want to note is that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the project website. So at any time after tonight, if you would like to revisit the presentation or revisit some of the questions that was asked, you're more than welcome to do so. And if you prefer not to be recorded of your likeness, including voice or your face, please just let me know, and you can also ask questions after the presentation. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Angel Chang. I'm the project manager for this project. Rebecca Park is not here with us, but we have Dan Sheridan from MCDOT, our planning and section chief. And then we have with us our consultant from WRA, Pam Destino, and also Neil Patel. And at this point, I also want to check if there's any elected official representative that are present tonight's meeting. Anyone online? No? Okay. Oh. Okay, Dan, Pam can give you.
Hello. Yes, so Aaron Kraut from Councilmember Lutke's office is online.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Aaron, for attending the meeting. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. Just a brief outline for tonight's presentation. We are going to talk about the project purpose, the background of the project, overview, some of the design consideration for the projects that we have worked on, the schedule, and Q&A at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, project purpose. So the purpose of this project is to extend North High Street to Morningwood Drive and to provide pedestrian and cyclist access from Morningwood Drive. And we have also identified additional safety needs on both North High Street and Morningwood Drive. And just a little bit of overview. The scope of the study, it was recommended as part of the ONI Master Plan from 2005. And this project has completed in the MCDOT facility planning program back in 2020. We had a hybrid meeting in September 2020 that felt like a long time ago during COVID. And after that, the project was presented to the planning board in the format of a briefing, and option one, which is the option with facility only on one side of the street, was recommended. And subsequently, this project has been funded for final design and construction. Okay, so this is just kind of like a general overview of what happened to a transportation project in the county. So we did planning and conceptual engineering, where we call it facility planning, where we look at different concept and alternative and see what makes sense and what fits the purpose and the needs for the community. And we presented it to planning board, and also get recommendation from the county council. And then we're actually at the end of the preliminary engineering, also known as the 35% design. So we're right there in between preliminary engineering and final design. And as you can see, there's an arrow on the bottom that says public input, and we value public input, and we would like to get your feedback throughout the whole process of the design. Okay, just going through some of the existing conditions. So the existing roadway width of North High Street varies a lot between 12-foot wide to 40-foot wide, depending on where you're looking at it. The right-of-way width also varies a lot between 30-foot and 80-foot wide. Existing access from Morningwood Drive, there is a pedestrian access, but it's only stairs, so it's not ADA compliant. Obviously, because the stairs is not really cyclist friendly either. And North High Street itself is a dead-end street currently, so driver has no access from Morningwood Drive. Street parking, there's street parking on both sides currently, and intermittent sidewalk on the south side of North High Street only. And zoning for this area is mixed use. Design considerations. So as we were working on this project, there are a lot of things that we looked at and have to consider to make this project as most feasible and meeting the needs of the project and the purpose of the project. So obviously, the first thing we look at is safety. Safety for our users, pedestrians, cyclists, and driver. We look at the right of way. Where are the property lines at? Traffic. How does it affect the surrounding traffic in terms of what we are proposing? Utilities, there are both above ground and underground utilities, so we have to coordinate with the utility companies. Landscaping, trees and green space, drainage. We want to make sure that our project doesn't change the existing drain pattern during rainfall. Pavement usage in terms of parking, I want to make sure that residents and patrons who frequent that area can still utilizing the parking, and making sure that our roadway design is meeting the county standards. This road is classified as the town center street, and it has a 25 miles per hour target speed. And as part of the complete street design guide, the recommended traveling is 11-foot wide, and for parking lane is 8-foot wide. And the recommended width of the sidewalk is 5-foot with buffer and 6 foot of sidewalk adjacent to the curb. So at this point, I'm going to pass it on to Neil to talk about the design. If I can click it. Here, I'm going to pass it first.
I'm going to speak briefly about the proposed design, starting with typical sections, which will essentially give you a cross-sectional view of our design. There are 3 main typical sections on this project, 2 along North High Street, which are oriented such that you're facing east towards the intersection with Georgia Avenue, and 1 along Morningwood Drive, oriented facing north, such that you're going away from the intersection with Georgia Avenue. The first section, AA, is along North High Street, where the current dead end is and where the proposed intersection will be. The existing section is only about a 16-foot wide swath of unmarked pavement, which equates to roughly 2 8-foot travel lanes. Our proposed design will be 2 11-foot lanes with a striped center line to help delineate the travel lanes. We're also adding curb and gutter to help facilitate drainage, and there'll be a 6-foot sidewalk on the right side adjacent to the roadway. Section BB is a little further east where the pavement starts to widen out. The existing pavement here is roughly around 24 feet wide, also still unmarked. which equates to two, again, 8-foot travel lanes and an 8-foot parking lane. There also is an buffered sidewalk, which runs intermittently in this area, but not for the full length. The proposed design in this area will again have the two 11-foot travel lanes delineated with pavement markings, an 8-foot parking lane, and the 6-foot sidewalk adjacent to the roadway. And finally, section CC is along Morningwood Drive. This is roughly in the area where the proposed intersection will be with North High Street. The existing section has two 11-foot travel lanes with two varying paved shoulders, a buffered sidewalk on the left side of the road, and a sidewalk adjacent to the roadway on the right side of the road. Our proposed section will maintain the buffered sidewalk on the left side of the road and the 11-foot travel lanes. However, we are removing the shoulders to help mitigate speeds and to also allow us to provide a full buffered sidewalk on the right side. So it kind of normalizes and conforms the Morningwood Drive section with what's out there. Finally, once we have our typical sections finalized and developed, we can implement them and put them along the roadway corridor. This allows us to create our proposed design plan, which you see here, which is essentially just a bird's eye view of the project. The gray shade represents the limits of paving. The dark yellow represents the limits of proposed shoulder or proposed sidewalk. The tan represents the limits of existing sidewalk to remain in service. And the green represents grassy areas and areas of pavement removal. Just some key features to the design. We are adding a 3-way stop controlled intersection at Morningwood Drive and North High Street. We're also providing stop sign ahead signs along the 2 approach curves to help mitigate speeds and warn drivers that there is stop sign ahead. There's also a 2-leg pedestrian crosswalk at the intersection, 1 leg across Morningwood Drive and 1 leg across North High Street. As we move along North High Street, there is a segmental retaining wall about 75 feet in length to help limit impacts to properties and parking lot. There is also a pedestrian crosswalk in the middle of the block to help ensure pedestrian connectivity. We have 3 separate parking bays. And finally, we're maintaining the crosswalk across North High Street at the Georgia Avenue intersection. Just some additional project information. The preliminary construction cost is currently set at $900,000. There will be right-of-way impacts with this design, impacting 16 total properties. The proposed right-of-way required is approximately 2,400 square feet, and the temporary construction easements required is approximately 10,300 square feet.
Thank you, Neil. So at this point, I would like to talk about the project schedule a little bit. Please note that this is only a snapshot of our current schedule, and so we're currently at the 35% design milestone, and the public meeting, which is in the second quarter of 2024. The next step for this project is to submit this project to the planning board for the mandatory referral. The planning board and the staff will review this project and make sure that it's master plan compliant and various other goals in the county is meeting those goals too. And then after that, we'll move this project along to 70% design. There will be another public hearing for this project at the 70% design milestone, probably towards the end of the year. And we're hoping to wrap up final design by the end of the year as well. Currently, the property acquisition process and the construction is all estimated time, depending on how quickly the project moves through through these milestones. But we're diligently managing those project schedules. So really, that's it for the presentation tonight. This is my these are my contact information. I can give me a call and also email me. There's in terms of the URL on the screen. The first one is the project website, which a lot of you probably have this link. The link underneath is for our online comment sheets. And if you're present here tonight in person, you can also scan the QR code to access it as well. But we will be collecting your comments through May 15. May 10. Today is April 10th. So a month after tonight. So you can either submit your comments through the online comment form, or you can email me, or you can give me a call if you would like to talk to me in person too. But at this point, I would like to open up the floor for questions, or if you have any comments that you would like to make. We'll probably take turns between in person and virtual. So if you would like to ask a question or make a comment, you can raise your hand now in person. Whoever go first. Who wants to go first? She's the first one. We have Pam who will be passing along the mic. This lady in the front.
Thank you. I was on a couple of the initial calls with the Only Master Plan folks and you, and we were talking about the safety issues along Morningwood as it stands now, and I can see some of the things that you've incorporated into the new plan to try to meet, mollify that or fix those situations. Is there anything in the plan that we had talked about how Only Elementary, a lot of the kids come out onto Morningwood and are picked up there by their families after school. Was there anything in the plan that addressed that? We had talked about maybe doing a curb cut into the woods a little bit to allow the pickup traffic to get off the main road.
Yeah. So I'm gonna back up a little bit so that we can. Hey, this works again. So we kind of narrowed down towards where the new intersection would be,
Okay.
so that we can really squeeze down the roadway to make sure people slow down and ahead of the stop sign, really. But also preventing people from just kind of parking wherever they want. So you can kind of see that, like, we kind of taper it out to show that where people supposed to park and wait for the children. Now we
Okay.
also have been working with our counterparts from traffic who is working with Safe Route to School, and it's they're working on making sure that to be in contact with the school, making sure that parents know that, hey, we recognize that this is an area where parents are picking their kids, whether it's through car or walking, so to let them know, and hopefully that to address the safety issue, and educating kids who might be walking by themselves, who might be walking along this road, to pay attention. Really, I think there are a lot of deficiency on Morningwood Drive itself, and we want to be able to address that as part of the North High Street, and closer to where the intersection would be. So
Okay.
because the school is kind of like out here,
Right.
it's kind of outside of the scope of the project, but we want to make sure that we let our counterparts with Safe Route to School know that there is an existing issue there, whether this project is whether this project is moving fast enough or not. There is an existing issue, so we
Okay.
are coordinating with them and making sure that they're recognizing that that's an issue and they can do something about it.
Okay, so it might not be part of this part of the
Yeah.
project, but it will be addressed
Yeah,
at some point, just so everybody
Yeah.
can stay safe.
and also, like, there's just in general, like we want to make sure that people are slowing down on Morningwood Drive also, especially with the two curve both side.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we have adequate signing, but also letting people know that, hey, you know, there is a stop sign coming up and they're slowing down. And the other thing with this, this new intersection is that it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but if you have a chance to look at the board later, we are striping new crosswalk to indicate where people should be crossing.
Okay.
I know, you know, walking out there just on a regular school day, you see a lot of people just kind of crossing wherever
Mhm.
they want. And sometimes it's really hard for drivers to predict where there might be pedestrian crossing. And so we want to use this opportunity to let everyone know this is where you should be crossing and where you should be expecting pedestrian to be there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're gonna, anyone online? No one online? Okay. Who? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So this is my first meeting about this particular project, so you may have addressed this earlier. This is going to have hopefully positive traffic impact, but I can see how you actually may get quite a bit more traffic coming from McDonald's down North High Street, getting onto a Morningwood so that they can swing around and use the light at the corner of Georgia and Morningwood. And I'm really concerned about the pedestrian issue. There is a crosswalk right now in front of, I don't know, adjacent to the Goddard School, but that's taking your life into your hands to try and cross there, partly because of the curve. So my question is, how are you going to address that? I think the school issue is a huge problem. They've tried to remediate that recently by putting a stop sign at the corner of Queen Mary and Princess Anne. I'm telling you, nobody is stopping at the stop sign. I don't know that anybody's going to stop at the stop sign at High Street and Morningwood. And I don't think just painting a crosswalk is going to be sufficient. So my questions are all about pedestrian traffic and vehicle traffic.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your comments and questions. Yeah, I think changes usually take some time to be effective, and people who are not expecting the change to happen might not be frequenting that area, and it will take some time for them to recognize, hey, you know, we need to stop here. There's a new intersection. So again, like I think with the issue with the school, we will have to work with MCPS to make sure that they understand that, and hopefully maybe we can do something you know, creative with them and having cross guard at some of these locations to make sure that it's safe for kids. And you know, in terms of the traffic of diversion, we did do a traffic study in the beginning of this project, which is back in 2020, and there is a very you know, minimum impact in terms of diversion from the McDonald's. Again, I think you hit it right on the head, because a lot of people who are patrons of McDonald's try to get out of North High Street and try to make that left turn, and it's very, very, very dangerous right now. And so we're just trying to make sure that there is a safer way for people to make that movement. And you know, we cannot just kind of hope that people will you know, make that change immediately, but we're hoping that, you know, by providing these options, people can, you know, make safer choices. And with the crosswalk at near the Goddard School, again, like we're hoping that all these traffic calming improvement on Morningwood Drive also would highlight that there are pedestrians present in this row, but also like getting to for people to get into habit of slowing down, because it's not just a straight shot anymore. They can't just, you know, whip around the corner and then the other get out from the other side. So, but I thank you for your comment. Okay.
I have a comment online.
Go ahead.
So I totally agree with the comments that the person just made in terms of safety for the children that coming across from the elementary school there, from Olney Elementary. I see it regularly, speeding coming across that intersection and adding another additional amount of traffic, which I think will be significant coming out of the where Graves and the McDonald's is in that area there. It's going to really add, I think, a deadly mix to what we already are observing. I live on Morningwood, and I've lived here for 35 years now, and I've seen a significant amount of increased traffic and also speeding. And we had a sort of a mini study done last year. One of our residents raised that issue, and they did come in with the speed monitoring machine for a period of time. And then they agreed to reduce speed down Morningwood to 25 miles an hour. I don't believe that has really made much of a difference. And so I'm very concerned about the danger that will present to children crossing the street from the school. And they don't pay attention to crosswalks, to be honest. I see them crossing at a number of different areas within that, between the intersection of Morningwood and Georgia, and where the school bus actually stops, and where the gate is there, that fenced area where the kids come out from the school and onto Morningwood. The children are crossing their children. And so the mitigation that you talked about, I don't think will be effective in decreasing the danger to the children and also pedestrian traffic coming out of the school. I'm forgetting the name of the school that's on the right on Morningwood, just as you drive down. So I agree with that commenter wholeheartedly, and I think you need to take that serious consideration into how you're going to mitigate. Just putting in a crosswalk, just putting in a stop sign is not going to alleviate that problem. Thank you.
Right, thank you for your comment. I think,
Hi, my concern is the line of sight. I can't understand how you're going to make that slope that's right there come together so that people can actually go in and out of High Street, even though you have stop signs. I still don't understand how the grading works for that line of sight, because I've walked that area and I can't see anything even when I'm walking as I'm going around that corner. So I just wanted you to touch a little bit on the line of sight issue, if you could.
yeah, absolutely. So that's a very valid question. And we checked the line of sight for a three-way stop at this intersection. And you know, if we have also looked at the grade and then the grade of this connection, and it should be adequate with the three-way stop operation here. And you know, these are according to our actual guidelines that we have to follow. It is our industry in terms of like road safety. So again, like it's something that we've already looked at, but we are more than happy to look into if there's any other traffic calming things that we can do on both Morningwood Drive and North High Street. Then we're more than happy to implement those and include those as part of this project.
One question and two observations. Are you going to do anything to enforce the stop sign, cars coming out from McDonald's on the North High Street?
So enforcement is part of the police department.
Well,
at
that's
CDO.
that's a cop out. Are you working with the police or is something going to be done because
Yes.
you're gonna make that situation even worse?
Yes,
Whether the
absolutely.
enforcement for the tickets is the police or not.
Yeah. So if, you know, when this is constructed, we'll be working with the police throughout our project, but also letting them know that, hey, there's a new intersection here, there's a three-way stop, and it's important, absolutely important that we have some sort of enforcement and letting people know that, hey, you need to stop here. So
And second, it is already a nightmare trying to get off of North High Street onto Georgia Avenue. It's bad enough trying to make a right turn, but if you're making a left turn, you're waiting and you're fighting with two lights. And I know you're not going to get the warrants to put up another light there.
no, we're not. And that's not part of this project. But again, we're hoping that, this will make the overall area on North High.
You're going to make
safer.
that infinitely worse. It's already a terrible situation. And finally, many years ago, one of the developers in the area tried to get North High Street coming through cyclists, pedestrians, and drivers. And the council said, no driving, no cars, all pedestrian, all cyclists. And now we're coming back full cycle to try to get drivers to come through.
Thank you for your comment. I don't have that history with me, but
Question. I have a question.
yeah, and this project has been vetted, but okay. I think someone has a question online. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, sorry. It's hard online. I don't want to interrupt anyone. Thank you so much for all your work on this. I was excited that the county is looking for solutions for pedestrian and motorist safety. I think the elementary school safety concern is very important. The gentleman that just went, I actually wanted to add to that. Just looking at the overall only master plan, first of all, I think this is going to create a ton of congestion that there already is. I'm not sure as a motorist, I really need an additional opportunity to jog over to Morning Wood. There's a lot of turns from Georgia Ave southbound. For pedestrians, that's very dangerous, and for motorists as we're pulling out. So I was just wondering from the only master plan, if you guys, I was looking at it, if you've looked at that bigger solution, that's kind of the bigger traffic solution of like Morning Wood having an extension to like the only Laytonsville Road. And then maybe, as that gentleman just said, North High Street is more that pedestrian, cyclist access. So just wondering if you guys have really thought through that bigger piece of how it connects. And then you can be more creative within that space than just put this road there, which I don't know if that's really going to answer the congestion problem and the pedestrian problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. I am not aware of any master plan alternative, Steve. Yeah, I'm not aware any other alternative route in terms of for vehicle or a dedicated pedestrian of cyclists, but we can check with the planning department. And
But are you aware of any extension or any ideas of the way I saw the master plan has an arrow, which is what I would have definitely have considered just as a, citizen, where Morning Wood would have an extension up towards that only Laytonsville, but it would be more that thoroughfare and kind of cut all that traffic out of the residential area too. So just curious if you guys have looked a little bit more kind of step back instead of just making this road, it's like 500 feet. So I just, and then my second comment I would say is if you guys are indeed going to widen this road as it is, then I would assume you're taking some of the entry points from Georgia away so people can actually walk that. I just want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
I'm sorry, widen which part?
So if you're gonna go ahead with this High Street, which I would be concerned, but if you are doing that, are you gonna take away entry points for motorists on Georgia Ave? There's all these entry points you can get in and off of Georgia, and it makes it dangerous to even walk that. So if now people are able to access it from North High, then maybe they don't need to access McDonald's and Exxon, they have all these ways to access it. I'm just a little bit worried if someone's kind of thought through that.
Okay. Yeah. So we can work with the state. As you know, Georgia Avenue is a state road. So
Okay.
it is in their jurisdiction. So, but we can work with them and make sure that there's
that would be amazing.
There are some alternative, and in the beginning of this project, we did recognize that the left turn out of North High onto Georgia is very, very dangerous. And so maybe depending on what the state said, we will explore some opportunity to make that movement, or even prevent that movement from happening in the future. But again, it's a state road, so we will have to coordinate with them and make sure that we can have a solution that makes sense and enhance safety of all road user. But thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think the gentleman here has been raising his hand since the beginning.
I have a question and a comment for, is this like
gonna be this or nothing, or is there still room to add things to this plan?
We can consider adding things depending on what we're adding. I mean, like, we're not gonna add like a flyover, like that's not what we're adding, and we're not gonna
Sure.
consider that, obviously. But, you know,
Because
feel free to suggest.
I think you're looking a lot about making it safe from Morningwood towards this intersection. I mean, so sorry, from Georgia Avenue towards this intersection and not the other side. For example, you have the sign letting people know about the stop sign because you know it's not straight shot, but it's also curved outside of this map on the other
Yes.
side.
Yes.
And it'd be good to also have that kind of sign the other way.
Yeah.
And additionally, I think a lot of people are concerned that maybe with the blinds, well, I don't want to say what other people think, but I think there is maybe a concern about you can't really see the stop sign until basically you're there. And I'm wondering if it's also possible to add like a speed bump on Morningwood right before you get to that sign, letting you know a stop sign's coming. So it forces you to slow down a little bit, and then you get that, you can see that sign better, and you're slower coming into that area. I think might also help people slow down as they approach the stop sign. As far as my comment, I disagree with a lot of people here. I actually really like this plan, mostly because I disagree that people completely ignore stop signs. I know some people do, but I do see people sometimes stop at stop signs. I stop at stop signs. At the very least, I see people slowing down at stop signs, even if they go through it. I don't think people go faster when there's a stop sign. So there's 2 bus stops there. I'm always, especially during the winter when it's dark, when those kids, especially those high school kids, are at that Battery stop sign. I'm always worried. I mean, not the stop sign, at the Battery Lane bus stop. I'm always worried about those kids crossing Morningwood. It's dark. Cars are going really fast. I would really love to see an always stop there for those kids, because there are kids who are crossing Morningwood to get to that bus stop. So if this is a way to, again, always stop there to make that a little bit safer for both of those high school bus stop, the middle school bus stop, and the elementary school kids, there's no safe place for them to cross basically anywhere in Morningwood. There's no crosswalk from Olney Elementary anywhere up until Headwater for kids to cross Morningwood to get home when they're walking home. So I do like having always stop there. I would also encourage, I think people stop more when there's a crosswalk with the stop sign. So I just know the way people cross on both sides of Battery Lane. They're not going to walk all the way to that crosswalk. I would love to see also a crosswalk, like double crosswalk. But I don't really understand some people's comments that it's going to increase traffic because we're not adding any stores. I don't know who is going to use this who isn't already in this community. I see some people who might, if they're going to McDonald's from our neighborhood, instead of going down Georgia to Morningwood, they'll just go to North High Street home, but that's still not increasing traffic in our community. I don't think it creates any shortcuts, because anyone who's been on rush hour on Morningwood Drive, well, yeah, you can make the right there, but that backs up and backs up. Anyone who's trying to get to Georgia Avenue and go around the Dunkin' Donuts that way, they're just going to be backed up on Morningwood Drive. That right turn takes a while if it's backed up. So I don't see this being a cut through for anybody. So I don't see where it's going to add traffic. I think that always stop, especially, is going to slow some people down. They might even start avoiding this area as their way to get to where they're trying to go. So especially if you add a bump, maybe even 2 leading up to it, I just think this is going to slow some people down. I disagree with some people. I think this is a good plan.
Thank you for your comments. And do we have anyone online or no? No, okay, we can just go to, I think someone from the back, all the way in the back.
Thank you very much for all of your efforts in putting this together. I really appreciate it. I have a number of things I want to say, and then based on comments that have been in the room tonight and based on this plan. First off, I live on Morningwood Drive, and I live very near to the intersection of Headwaters Drive and Morningwood. The county has put in a larger stop sign there and a pedestrian crosswalk. I've almost been hit in that crosswalk walking my dog twice. I've brought this to your department's attention. I brought it to my county councilman's attention. I brought it to my state delegates' attention, and no one seems to care about that. And I have a very big fear that just putting stop signs up here and saying that you're putting in a stop sign ahead sign and brushing your hands and walking away from this and saying, well, we did what we can, we just need to educate the public. is extremely naive. And I think you are very much misrepresenting what the driving culture is post-COVID. And I don't know if there have been studies about this, but anecdotally, traffic on our street is much higher volume and a much higher rate of speed. I've gone to the Montgomery County Police Department about this, and they've essentially told me there's nothing they can do. So your comment that the county will send police out when this new intersection comes about rings very naive and hollow to me. I personally went out and bought a radar gun to gauge the speed of people going down our street, and have clocked people going 57 miles an hour down our street. And it's a very regular occurrence. There are many, many, many more things you can do to mitigate speed on this street, especially at this intersection. Washington, D.C. has stop signs with cameras to make sure people stop at them. There are speed cameras you can put all along this road. As the gentleman before me said, there are raised mounds that you can put in to help mitigate this. Stop signs are not going to do it. And I am extremely fearful that it's going to take somebody getting hit by one of these cars before you're going to take action. And that's completely unacceptable. I personally don't understand why we're relying on a 2005 master plan to put this road through when we're in 2024. It seems like the county just wants to do this to do it. I also have grave concerns about stormwater from this particular area. You're taking down a mature tree at the top of that hill. I don't know what if you've received your MS4, which is your multiple separate storm system sewer permit, which you're required to receive before you can do any construction on this, and what your mitigation plans are, or if you're planning to use permeable surface sidewalks or a permeable surface street to mitigate against this increased stormwater that's obviously going to happen from the completion of this road. It's very frustrating to have people come in here. I'm sorry, I don't know if you live in Olney or not, but when you come in here and tell us things that, well, we'll do this, it just seems like you're parachuting in and parachuting out and not listening to the concerns of people in this room. And furthermore, the planning process for this began during the height of the pandemic, and I really feel like people did not have adequate opportunity to provide input and alternatives to this plan at the time. And we're now so far down the road that I'm not sure anything can be done aside from us writing and calling all of our elected representatives and tell them not to fund this project any further. But there's a lot of frustration, I think, in this room. And I really hope if we can't stop this project, that you do a lot to address the safety concerns that so many people in this community have about not only this project, but road safety in general in our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Go ahead.
Hi, that's okay. Kathleen Donadeo. I'm here partly representing myself, but mostly representing the Transportation Subcommittee of the Greater Olney Civic Association. And I have a couple of comments. Mostly, I wanted to tell you the GOCA met last night and we went through this and talked about it. And there were some questions, but overall, there was a lot of support for it. This project actually came out of a request from the Olney Town Center Advisory Committee to the county to look at this. And that was all well before COVID. So this has been a long planning process that began in Olney. And we went to the county and said, can we do this? We're trying to build more of a grid so that people have options and they have resiliency. And if there's a big traffic jam on Georgia Avenue, you have a way to get out and around it and that kind of thing. What I am hearing, and overall, there was a lot of support for the design. I think you heard a lot of the things that we had said 4 years ago when we talked about all of this. What I am hearing is a lot of frustration about issues on Morningwood that, to me at least, do not sound like they have so much to do with the North High Street project. There might be a little additional traffic coming onto Morningwood. I know if I come out of McDonald's, instead of going north on Georgia and that horrible left turn there, I would make a right and I would go and I would drive around to the light at Morningwood and go north on Georgia from there because that feels safer to me. But because I'm doing it because I'm concerned about safety, I'm also probably not going to go 60 miles an hour between North High Street and the light, because I know there's a light coming up and I'm doing it to be safety conscious there. That being said, when I looked at the drawings, my first thought was, can we get the third leg? Just like you gentlemen in green here, a lot of good points. The third leg of the crosswalk there, as a mom who's walked young kids all around Olney and has driven that road in the mornings when people are walking the kids to school, I always would rather cross one road than cross two roads. So if you're on the north side of Morningwood and you're going to cross over, it would be nice to have that option. I just think also drivers then know any piece of this intersection could have somebody crossing, and it raises awareness there. I didn't know if there was some engineering reason why you couldn't have it on there, but I wanted to raise that. I also think speed humps would be great there. I don't think, like, I live right off Prince Philip and we are begging for speed humps all the time, and we can't have them because the ambulances go to the hospital, right? But I don't think we have that kind of issue here. So especially between Georgia and North High Street, where nobody should ever be getting up any speed at all because they've got a stop sign coming right up again, a speed hump would remind them, hey, by the way, if you're going over 20 miles an hour, your fault for, you can ruin the bottom of your car, not my problem. And that might address some of this, but I do hear, I absolutely sympathize, especially living off Prince Philip, with all of the concerns about the speed. I don't think the North High Street project is going to make a big difference either way in terms of how fast people are whizzing around those corners. And they do whiz around those corners. You're absolutely right about all of that. But that was going to happen with or without North High Street connecting through. So, but overall, we just wanted to express that GOCO really supported the project and appreciated the county's responsiveness there.
Thank you for your comments. I just want to mention something since you brought it up. Back in 2020, I think we heard a lot of comments about concerns on Morningwood Drive, and subsequently we did a safety assessment on Morningwood Drive in 2021, and the report is also published on the project website. And my division is typically manages capital projects such as this one, but we did pass the report along with the recommendations for safety improvement on Morningwood Drive to our traffic operation and engineering. And so I will follow up with them to make sure that there are some plans to make Morningwood Drive better based on the study that we have done. And some of the things that is closer to this particular intersection that we have identified is, obviously introducing a three-way stop here to make sure that, there are enough, there's adequate sight distance, but also little things like trimming trees, because I feel like there are things that we can make this better. There's also a concern with parked cars that is obstructing view. So we will work with our traffic division to make sure that, the signing is clear and is adequate to make sure that people understand where they should be parking and where they cannot if they're obstructing other people pulling out from driveway or even just seeing around the curve. So I just want to make that point, but we'll have the gentleman finally in the back.
All right. Hi, I missed the meeting in 2020, I guess it was. What is the purpose of extending this? None of us know that live on Morningwood. I've lived on Morningwood for 43 years. And when I first moved in, it did not connect to Cashel. Then it connected to Cashel. Now, I don't know who lives in the neighborhood or whatever, but I know on Morningwood Drive, when we get snow, when we had that 2-foot snow, my street was plowed 9 times in that day, on that Saturday. On Monday, there was 4 giant bulldozers out there picking it up into 15 dump trucks and taking it out, while Georgia Avenue was still down to a single lane. So I don't get why we're connecting North High Street. It used to be open years ago. It dead ended at that house because I had a friend that lived there. We used to party there in the late 70s. So that's part of the history of this. Morningwood was not there. This was all the Ickes property. Now, what's the purpose of extending this? Why? I don't get it, why it's going on. And I think when you're trying to put signs up on the road to warn people that there's a stop sign, you've got a lot of commercial trucks that are parked on that road. Nobody's going to see those signs. And I owned a sign company for about 15 years. I don't know where you would put them. You know, you're not going to see that. And as far as those 2 crosswalks, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're going to cross wherever they want to. I've seen them dart out between commercial trucks to go across Morningwood. I've seen, as this gentleman has said about the speeding, when my kids were growing up, I had to park my car parallel in my driveway to keep them from chasing a ball in the street when they were playing basketball. I live on a slight curve. I'll sit on my porch and watch. 9 out of 10 cars will cross the double yellow line because of the way there's some commercial vehicles parked. It's going to be the same problem up here. It's not wide enough. So people are going to be crossing that line. And then when you're talking about rush hour traffic, people are rushing to get out or get in. And this is just going to be another cut through to get down to Cashel, where they're going out to Muncaster Mill Road or Emery Lane. You know, it's going to be a nightmare. I see no purpose in this. So if somebody could tell me why we're doing this, I have no idea.
Thank you for your comments. We talked about the purpose of this project is to
Gentleman referred to the master plan in 2005. And the discussion then was to have that road and have that cut through. However, the council's intent was no automobile traffic. It was all to be bicycles and pedestrians going to the shopping center. That was the purpose. And the intent was, why do you think nothing's been done since then? There was no authority to do anything. And what happens if the state says you can't do this?
So the purpose of the road is to provide redundancy within this area of the Olney, in the Olney master plan. Just as others have said, it can provide a safer way out to George Avenue for people instead of going out and to the left. So it's part of the master plan, and it's to provide a network of road and bicycle and pedestrian connectivity.
Or wasn't there a plan to establish an only town center in this area? And that is, and there are people here who can answer that question.
Yes, I
But
mean, it
that's
is
not
supported by
happening now.
the.
So there's no
GOCA.
longer the same need that existed in 2005.
And then additionally, in one of the previous meetings, Angela Cheng, you had talked about restricting a left-hand turn from North High Street, leaving Morningwood, a left-hand turn going north on to George Avenue. Is that correct?
excuse me. So we look into that that inquiry, and we have determined to that it won't be feasible in terms of the traffic. So
it won't be feasible to come down there and make a left to go north. And this is being sold to us as making it more accessible to the Olney Town Center, which is not just here. It's over the shopping centers over on 108 on the east side of 97, correct? Can you please tell me, and I have to tell you, I've been a professional router for Montgomery County Public Schools for 33 years. How is that going to make it better if I can't go down North High Street to make a left on 97? What benefit is it for me or anyone in our community to come out, make a left on North High Street and make a right on 97 South that's not even going to the Olney Town Center? It's not making any sense. I am very much in favor of making things safer for pedestrians and cyclists. There's no need for these stop signs. And I can concur with my neighbor that I have also been hit, not hit, but nearly hit at the three-way stop sign that is like, you might as well put lights up there. It's that visible. And people don't stop. I watched 3 cars in a row just zoom right through that stop sign just yesterday. And I'm walking my dog every single day and almost got hit. I have a neighbor that did get hit down at Queen Elizabeth and Morningwood in the crosswalk. She was also walking her dog. That's not even a limited sight distance. It's a straight street coming up to Morningwood. You can see, and this person hit her and knocked her down. In addition to that, just like Max said, or someone, I think Max said, there are no crosswalks for any students walking to Olney Elementary from Morningwood Drive, except at Headwaters Drive. Another concern is in your plan, you've talked about cutting out some of the parking on Morningwood Drive. A bunch of us are from the Homeland Village Community Association. People don't want to park on Homeland Drive. They don't want to park their cars on Homeland Drive. They have to park their cars on Homeland Drive because we don't have enough parking in the parking lots. Where are they going to park if you take that away? There are already signs that have limited parking from the curb of the driveways back a distance. There is nowhere for them to park. She and I are working on a parking plan for the people in our community. We only have 1.5 spaces for every unit owner. That's it. We now have a lot of children in this community. I think we should make something safer for the kids to walk to school. It's a walking neighborhood. Plenty of people walk. But if you're going to make it so that I can't come out and make a left on 97 North, why are we doing this?
I'm sorry, can you clarify that north turn? Is it coming out of?
If you're coming eastbound on Morningwood Drive or westbound, either one, and say for some reason you came that way and decided you wanted to go north on Route 97 and you turn on North High Street. So you are now going eastbound on North High Street that way. And you want to make a left
From North High to?
from North High Street to go north on 97.
Okay,
You're talking
I understand.
about limiting, you said in one of the meetings that that was going to be limited.
well, we were looking at it. Again, like this is.
You
Georgia
actually
Avenue.
said it was going to be limited in a question.
And I apologize if I misspoken. But again, Georgia Avenue is a state route. It's not up to us to make those decisions, and we will have to work with the state. But currently, that is not part of this plan. We will have to work with the state for that access because North High Street is a county road. Georgia Avenue is a state road, and we just have to coordinate with them and making sure that that can be safely made.
Excuse me, I live on North High Street. I fail to see how creating a cut through is going to make anything safer because people are just going to speed through that cut through and a very narrow road that is only residential for the most part. And in addition to like Graves, who usually has cars parked on the side where you guys want to put that crosswalk. Everything that the young woman who just stood up and talked, I mean, I agree with everything she just said. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense how this is going to make anything safer. In addition to, I'm very concerned about people speeding through. Right now, we already have people who speed through because they think there's a cut through and they speed all the way to the end and then figure out, oh, I have to turn around. And they, make a U-turn or they, go into all of our yards to turn around. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't see how that's going to make anything safer at all. Nobody's going to look at a stop sign, especially when, with the trees and everything else and the turns there. No one's going to stop. And I sure do not want a speed bump in front of my house.
Thank you for your comments. I think we have, someone in the front.
I've forgotten. I'm also concerned about safety. I live on North High Street, on the north side where the houses are. And I see opening this up is going to provide too much traffic straight through. And you can post speed signs up every 3 feet, and the people that are going to speed through are going to speed through. And I'm wondering if they've considered speed bumps
We have not considered speed bump, but
Hmm?
we can consider it, but we have not considered that.
Because at least it would slow down a little bit. But I see the one thing that this project is bringing in, that's speeders and messing up my street. Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna, apparently there isn't an answer to why is this being done at all? But I have the same question that everyone else has. It seems obvious that it will increase traffic on Morningwood. People coming south on 97, instead of having to, if they wanted to get through to Cashel, they can come turn right here and go up. So I think the idea that this would all be just McDonald's traffic is pretty naive. Anywhere there's a cut through, people are going to use it to get to where they're going. If it avoids a traffic or a left turn, right? I could turn right on 108 and then have to turn left onto Headwaters or somewhere else, or I could come through here and turn right, and I avoided that. People are going to do that. If we want to make things safe, there's a really easy way to mitigate traffic on North High Street, is to leave it a dead end and do all the same stuff on Morningwood. Put up crosswalks in front of my office, over on like by 270 in Picard. They've put up lighted crosswalks where you press a button and lights flash. That would seem like a great idea here. Have we considered just leaving aside the cut through, if we want to make this intersection safe, which I think having crosswalks and all that is a good idea, more speed bumps. The intersection at Headwaters, I think, was made safer by the addition of the people can stop in the middle now. They put up the concrete in the middle of the street. That would seem like a great idea here as well, regardless of whether the road is going through or not. So.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, I'm Jim Smith. I'm here tonight as a representative of the Olney Town Center Advisory Committee. The Town Center Advisory Committee was created after the adoption of the 2005 master plan. So we've been around since 2006. And I have an answer to the question about why this connection. It's because the community asked for it, believe it or not. In the master plan process, the community was really involved back in 2005 and years before. And completing the street grid was recognized as a desirable thing to do to reduce traffic distances. For now, if somebody was coming down Georgia and wanted to go to a turn right on Morningwood Drive to get, a few blocks into Morningwood, they'd have to go a longer distance than after this connection is made. Because now they could turn, after the connection is made, they could turn right on North High Street and they have a shorter distance to travel. They will avoid the backup from Dunkin' Donuts. They'll avoid that mess. And there are other routes you can describe coming out of McDonald's right now. If somebody wants to go down Morningwood, they would have to go out to Georgia around the Dunkin' Donuts mess and then turn right on Morningwood to proceed down Morningwood. After the connection, they have a short block or two distance down North High Street. They did not contribute to the mess on Georgia. And their distance is about less than half. When vehicles travel shorter distances, it's less opportunity for traffic accidents. When they go through fewer intersections, it's less opportunity for traffic accidents. So that was one of the principles that, led the community to ask for this change and go down the road of this process to get this connection. I hear some really good ideas about further increasing the pedestrian safety on Morningwood. I think right now there are no stop signs slowing down traffic. This project adds stop signs slowing down traffic. And right, maybe not every single car observes them, but they're at least going to slow down because there's an intersection there and there might be a car there. They're at least going to slow down. If anybody wouldn't stop at that stop sign, I mean, that is hazardous. But right now, nobody's stopping because there's no stop signs there, right? So we do believe that it'll, at least what's proposed here, will create an additional measure of safety on Morningwood. And there are other good ideas I heard tonight that could increase that. And I'd encourage the planning team to look into that. I have a couple questions about the design. I see parking areas provided.
We're not on public computers, so those online do not have to worry, but please go ahead.
I'd like to ask how many parked cars are going to be accommodated on North High Street, and what went into the, I see the pedestrian crossing mid-block. I just wanted to know a little bit about the thinking behind that.
So we know that there is a destination point where the McDonald's is, and subsequently everything in that shopping center. So we want to be able to facilitate a safe crossing. And if someone is walking from Morningwood Drive towards North High Street, I mean, currently they just kind of cross wherever they want, and that movement is existing. Like, people do cross to get to McDonald's and beyond, right? And so we want to make sure that, as soon as there's a connecting curb ramp and sidewalk on the north side, I want to make sure that we will highlight that movement. And we know that people are already doing that movement. So we want to make sure that as soon as the sidewalk is existing currently, that we have a specific spot for pedestrian and highlight those spots so that for anyone who's driving on North High Street will see the pedestrian crossing. So,
and how many parking spaces?
I don't believe we've counted. Do you know? Not on the top of my head, but I can get back to you. I think gentleman here has been waiting for a long time.
Thank you. It's gonna be a cut through. Like you just said, it's gonna be a cut through because there's gonna be more traffic here. And you said, okay, maybe there's fewer traffic accidents. I'm skeptical, but I think what we're really worried about is pedestrian accidents involving pedestrians. A traffic accident, probably nobody's gonna die. A pedestrian accident, absolutely someone can, especially when it's a small child. And I mean, to me, the big concern here is North High Street and going on to Morningwood and making that right-hand turn right there. Because people making a right-hand turn like that, they're going to look to their left to look for cars. They're not going to look straight ahead for pedestrians. You can go to the 97-108 intersection and spend a minute or two, and you will find somebody who is making a right on red and does not look for pedestrians. All they're doing is looking to their left for cars. So what I would say, I agree, either an additional pedestrian crosswalk across Morningwood, or maybe even move that pedestrian crosswalk. I understand the new sidewalk would be on the south side, but to me, that is like the most dangerous spot right there, is making that right-hand turn. I would love to see a traffic light here. It seems like that's not going to happen. But I mean, like, all of us have driven. Any of us who've driven have been cut off by people who are trying to save 10 seconds. Like, people drive crazy out there everywhere. Like, and you're increasing the traffic. Yes, it's great that there's going to be stop signs on Morningwood now, but the problem is there's going to be more cars. And I think particularly that right-hand turn is the problem.
Thank you for your comments. I think someone in the back has been waiting too.
First of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I've all the way to 2000 to present time.
Closer to the mic. No, it's on. I think you just have to like aim it at your mouth. It's kind of
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's
is
better.
that good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I've been reading documents from 2000 and very interesting. 2005, I remember getting involved in this particular movement by the Department of Transportation. And here we are today. I will tell you, I am not in favor of this. What you're going to create is greater congestion. And if you're going to have somebody that's going to wait and pull off at High Street, North High Street, if they want to make a right at the end of High, it's 324 foot from High Street to Morningwood. I mean, 97. It's 324 foot, the equivalent of 16 cars. And they can't wait? Are they waiting to get on Morningwood so that they can really move fast? I don't know the answer to that. We have, right now, I heard a lot of talk about police officers coming out enforcing. You mentioned the same thing. You're not going to get much cooperation from the police department because right now they are down 200 officers. 200 officers. So as a result of that, what's going to happen? First of all, you're not going to get an officer out there to look at a stop sign. So let's go back to the red light. I mean, the speed sign, and see if we can't get some of the lights to come out and some of the equipment to come out to give civil tickets. That ain't going to happen, although there was some surveying that went and took place and some good information came out of that. But if you're going to do enforcement, I want you to understand that speed officers are going to give normally at least 15 miles an hour before they get out and give a ticket. Even the speed cameras do not activate and give you a flash and send you a piece of paper saying, here's your violation. It's 11 miles an hour. So it's not going to be realistic to try to bring those sorts of instruments in when you're going to have such high speed before it's activated. I have 2 more questions. I have a lot more, but I have these 2. Right in and right out, is that what it's going to be used if you go from yeah. Oh, that was only a suggestion? Okay. So we don't know if it's going to be in right, out right, off of North High Street. Is that correct? Huh?
Onto Georgia?
Onto North High. I'm sorry.
Oh. It was one of the options and we are not considering that.
Good. Thank you. And then finally, what is the total cost right now?
So the total construction cost right now is at
It's
$900,000.
more than construction costs.
I'm sorry, what?
There's more than construction cost involved because there's going to be residents that are going to have to be purchased. Look, today, there's one gentleman's house, I'm sorry, man and woman, that have a house on South Hall. Not South Hall. No, I mean North High. Their house is appraised at $1.2 million. You don't figure in acquisition cost of buildings, eminent domain to go in and take somebody's building. Is that part of the money?
So I can answer that.
Okay, and I got one other. There was also an issue as far as, no, go ahead and answer that. That's good.
Okay. Okay. So we only have 11 minutes now before they kick us out. So I'm going to answer real quick. So the $900,000 is only the construction cost that is being shown. This project itself has a standalone CIP where the county council included the cost for engineering, which is what we're doing, the cost for acquiring easement and also property. We're not taking any of the buildings. We're just acquiring a sliver of their front yard. So that's the plan for now.
May I have your attention, please?
The library is closing in 10 minutes at 8 o'clock. This is your final opportunity for all library services, including checkout and public restrooms. Thank you.
No one's checking out books, right? But again, those are already included in the cost. And if you're interested in getting the CIP number, I'm more than happy to provide it to you. I don't remember on top of my head, but those are all listed out and it's public information. So those are all included as part of this project. So what we're showing is just the construction costs for awareness of what we're proposing. If you're interested in property acquisition and appraisal, that can be, we can talk about that separately. Okay. So we only have 10 minutes. Our gentleman in the back would need to clean up. I can only go on for maybe 2 more minutes. So has anyone not spoken yet though, that would like to speak? Okay.
I am a property owner on the south side of North High Street.
Mhm.
And I'm all for this because there are 8 businesses that have parking lots that empty out onto North High Street. And to try and make that left-hand turn onto Georgia Avenue is very, very difficult. The one question I did have though is, as you are going to be doing this particular construction, and I know it will end at some point in time, but while it's happening, parking and access could be an issue. And I'm always wondering about the parking lot that is actually on North High Street that is seemingly a part of the Goddard School's property. Is that a public parking lot that can be accessed by?
It is not.
It is not.
It is
okay,
not.
thank you.
But if you have other questions related to specific to your property, feel free to email me and I'm more than happy to answer it.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry that we are like very short on time, but we can maybe take one more.
Process. Oh, thank you. I'm usually pretty loud, but my concern has always been the safety of cyclists and pedestrians and cars on Morningwood. In the design process, did you ever consider connecting North High Street through these parking lots? I know the businesses want High Street and Morningwood connected, but if North High Street and Morningwood were connected through the business area before you get into the Olney Elementary area and the residential area, it seems like it may mitigate some of the safety concerns that we're having coming around a blind curve into a stop sign. All the kids crossing all over the place. Was that ever considered as an
So
option?
that was not in the master plan. And I think like that was a suggestion that was brought up like a long time ago. And I think we might have briefly looked at it and I don't think that's feasible and it's also not in the master plan.
Okay.
The Goddard entryway is actually a public right of way. It's just apparently separated. So it is a possibility.
Okay. I am so sorry, but we have to wrap it up here. But I just want to mention that if you have any questions or comments, please email me or fill out the comment form. I will try my best to respond to everyone. But just know that your comments is very, very valuable. And that's why we're here really. And we're trying to take as much as possible in terms of your suggestion and see what we can do and to make this better. Again, like this is something that coming out of the master plan and we're trying to make this better for your community. And please email me. And the comment, we're trying to collect comment through May 10. So if you can get those to me by May 10, I would really, really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who's online. And if you have any questions, similarly, please email me and call me if you want to. But thank you so much for coming out tonight and spending your evening with me. So thank you.
Mhm.